Hello beautiful friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be doing pantry soup. Pantry soup is actually not a recipe. Like me or lump me for that, but it's not actually a recipe, guys. Really all pantry soup is just you using whatever you have in your pantry, obviously, or in your refrigerator that is just the odds and ends. So say you have one leftover carrot, it's not enough to do as a side vegetable for your entire family. What do you do with just one carrot? You would put it into something like pantry soup. So this is just a way to use up all of those odds and ends that otherwise can't go into a traditional recipe, but still make something really delicious and super nutritious out of it. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through what we're gonna be doing here. Obviously, you guys know I have quite a few food allergies and restrictions, so we're gonna be working around that. And we're just gonna take you through what we do, and this is something that you can adapt for you and your family wherever you are. Okay guys, so I have about 1.5 tablespoons of really good Bona Fortuna olive oil that has heated up, and to that I'm going to add these Egyptian walking onions. Mom went out and dug in the ice and snow trying to get these out, and we're just gonna caramelize these. This is just for flavor. The other thing that we have here is we've got 2 different types of meat. So I've got ground bison and then I have our ground lamb. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go half and half. The main reason for that is simply that the bison is a little bit on the leaner side, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But we do need a little bit of fat in our soup. So I'm just going to take half of that in there. Start getting it going with the onion. Into our lamb. Take half of it. Now lamb is a little bit fatter. That's where we're going to get our nice fuel from. And then we're just going to start breaking it up to combine it. With ground meat, you can actually throw it in completely frozen. It'll take a little bit longer for it to be able to break up into pieces, but you'll still end up with the same effect, and it'll be quicker than ordering pizza, actually. So we're gonna work on getting more seasoning in here. Obviously, we've got our garlic going now. What I have here is our herb salt, and I make this every year. It's a huge hit in my family. It is basically every single herb in my garden minus garlic and red pepper, because I have family members that have very decided opinions when it comes to peppers and garlic and how much is appropriate or not appropriate. To this, I'm also going to add some of our own red pepper flake that we dried here from the homestead. We got some bulk, just regular black pepper. And don't be afraid at this stage to heavy season it. Remember, you're going to be adding in some good bone broth, and I'll show you that here in a minute. We've made this bone broth together before, but you're quite possibly going to need to add more seasoning even after this. So getting it a little bit heavier on the spices now is just going to help the meat be a little bit more flavorful. So that way we just need to add for the liquid later potentially. And even that, I mean, it just depends upon how much spice you like. I happen to like a lot of flavor. Not everybody likes a lot of flavor, but I like a lot of flavor. So you do you, boo. Okay, our meat looks beautiful. It smells even better. I wish there was smell-o-vision. So now that we've got this brown, what we are going to do is we are just going to add in our bone broth that we've made. And don't forget, if you've seasoned your bone broth, that's also going to help add seasoning, so you may not need to add any. I'm anticipating the need to add probably a little bit more black pepper and maybe some salt to this, but outside of that, not a whole lot. This is going to also slow the cooking process, and you'll notice that's not even fully defrosted, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It'll defrost in the pot. Don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal. Now to this, I'm also going to add a couple of bay leaves. I love bay leaves in all of my soup. You don't have to add that if you don't like it, but I love it. There's just something unctuous about it in a soup. Okay, so now to this, I'm going to add 2 cups of distilled water, and we are just gonna let it sit and meld for a little while, and then we are going to be adding the vegetables that we have on hand that I can consume at the very end, because I actually like cabbage in soup, but I don't like my cabbage to be mushy. So the best way that I've found to accommodate that is to stick it in the bottom of the soup bowl and then ladle it over the top. Okay guys, so I have some leftover barley that I had used for breakfast the other day. So it's just barley that's been cooked up basically like a cereal. You would do that to oatmeal, so it just has water in it. But we're gonna go on ahead and add it into the soup because that'll be a nice hearty thing that we can add in here just to beef things up a little bit. And I'm let it get warmed through. Since it's already pre-cooked, it doesn't really need to absorb any liquid, so I'm not worried about the barley taking up any of the liquid that is in the pot. If, however, you are using an uncooked barley, you are going to have to compensate by adding a little bit more liquid. Otherwise, you'll end up with what we call a stoop, which is a cross between a soup and a stew. So it's not as thick as a stew, but it's not as thin as a soup. But if you like your soup that way, then you can leave it that way. This is pantry soup. You can make it soup, stew, or stew, whatever you like the best and what your family likes the best. That's the whole point of the recipe. All right, so we're just gonna leave this on the heat, medium-low, 5-10 minutes, just to allow it to get warmed through, and then we're going to finish with our vegetables, and we'll show you that process here in a minute. All right, so I've got a tri-colored corn, so there's just 3 different types of corn in here. We're gonna go on ahead and add that to our stock pot. This is really the part of the program where you can add anything that you like to your soup, anything that you have left over. So if you've got, say, some odds and ends peppers that you've roasted and stored, you can add those in here. You could add tomatoes in here if you wanted to that you've canned. You could add artichoke if you want to make this a little bit more Italian style. Beets and turnips, parsnips, carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes. And there's absolutely nothing wrong if you want to add rice instead of barley, or if you wanted to do noodles, you could add noodles instead. Just depends upon what you have available in your pantry shelf where you are. So don't overthink it too much. Go on ahead and be willing to experiment. Granted, no 2 pantry soups ever exactly come out alike, but that's kind of beside the point because variety, I guess you could say, is a little bit of the spice of life. So it's okay to mix it up if you have different meats or different ingredients. It just gives some depth and interest during the winter months when we are spending time indoors with our loved ones. Okay. It's time to dish. So doing this way, all it's going to do is it's going to help wilt the cabbage, which just softens it slightly, but it still maintains a crunch. Okay, friends, so that's literally all there is to it, and then you end up with something beautiful and nutritious and perfect for a cold, rainy winter day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go on ahead and at the end of it, I'm going to link the video where we made the bone broth, just in case you haven't seen that one yet. And I will also put a link there for our other cabbage recipes if you are interested in learning more about cooking cabbage. And guys, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential. Oh, and don't forget, if you are looking to get started in your small space garden and you are wanting a resource that's going to help you to achieve high yield gardens, go on ahead and grab my guide. I'll put a direct link down to that in the description below. Bye guys.